Listen, it's not about me. It's all about Jesus. You know, you might see crowds coming to me, and I've heard estimates of up to 750,000 people going out in the wilderness to hear John the Baptist preach. John wasn't some man in isolation that had no influence. John was a man who had incredible influence in his generation. After 400 years of a lack of prophetic voice, and John appears on the scene seemingly out of nowhere in fulfillment of both the prophecy of Isaiah and the prophecy of Malachi. And so the crowds come out to John, and John just turns everything away from himself, looks at Jesus and say, listen, I'm not even worthy to carry this guy's shoes, is what it comes down to. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I'm not worthy to carry this one's shoes, being Jesus. He is the Holy One. He is the one sent from God. He is the one who's come to redeem his people. And John is saying, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. And he goes in reference to all the questions, who are you? Like, what do you say about yourself? He says, listen, the work that I'm doing and baptizing, you got to understand it in reference, maybe to the man's shoes. And so John makes a reference to Jesus' shoe, his sandal. He says, I'm not worthy to touch it. Now, in that culture, it's important to understand that a servant or a slave was the one who would hold his master's shoes. He would take his shoes off, he would put his shoes on. This was the job of a slave. John is making reference to the fact that, listen, even when it comes to being a servant or a slave, I'm not even worthy to serve in such a position with this one Jesus. The statement he made was incredibly profound, especially in that community with the understanding of shoes. So what do you mean you can't touch his shoes? And even to think about the fact of reference to water baptism versus fire baptism, part of the job of a servant or a slave was to hold his master's shoes when they weren't being used. In reference to going to the bathhouses or to the times of cleansing, the shoes would be removed from the feet to go into the water. So even to think that John was baptizing with water, he was serving in the role not as the master, but rather as the slave. He was the one, as it were, holding the shoes. I'm not doing anything significant. Listen, the significance is going to come from the ministry of Jesus, not from me. I'm here just to prepare the way before. You catch that? This is the role that John has embraced. Not always an easy role. It's tough to be behind the scenes. It's tough not to get the approval of men. It's tough to constantly see someone else being the one to get all the accolades while you get pushed out. But the reality is, it's a blessed place.